Today's guest is Hugo, who currently leads brand and experience design at Locomotive. He's worked across some of Canada's most recognized brands, from large institutions to everyday consumer brands, with a strong focus on how identity evolves over time. Hugo, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to Fully Managed.
Thank you. I'm so excited too. What a nice introduction. Yeah.
I'm glad you liked it. So let's start off strong. You have worked on both cultural and commercial brands. So I'm curious, when you start a project, what tells you this brand needs a big change, not just like small improvements?
Well, at first you never really know,
Yeah.
because like sometimes you don't even know the brand. I mean, you don't know what end up in your schedule. So sometimes they need big changes, sometimes they need small improvements, and vice versa. I mean, sometimes brands will come to you and think that they need like a big makeover, and that's not the problem. They just need to fix some little things, and sometimes it's the totally opposite. I think, like that being said, you need to focus on the needs and objectives, targets of the clients, and most of all, if you want to figure out if they need small or big improvement, you need to look what the brand really is at the core, and if it's
Their
aligned.
essence.
And if it's
Yeah.
not, then we need to fix it. But sometimes it is aligned, and they just need like small tweaks. I think the best example could be this pharmacy brand I worked on. Um,
Mhm.
on day one, they asked us just to have a POV about their tagline, and we ended up rebranding them like completely.
Oh my God. Yeah. You sort of never know, right?
Yeah,
You just have to sort of connect to what the brand is trying to tell.
exactly. I Most of the time, I think it's safe to say that the initial brief versus the final output is rarely the same. It evolves.
And I'm curious, like broadening on this, when working on an established brand, like how do you decide what should stay the same and what needs to change?
It like the answer will come from the same thinking or some background, if I may.
Mhm.
Bottom line, you need to know if the brand is truly aligned with what it is at the core. Um, and for an established brand, you need to recognize what has made the brand what is it today. So you can consider where and what you need to change. You also need to consider the people, because I mean, people, the consumer, um,
Yeah.
and you don't want to change just for change, because it's kind of the same answer as the previous question. But if it
Mhm.
ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, like
Yeah, that's good advice.
there's a lot of brand thinking that they need, a full rebrand, and sometimes that's not the problem. That's not the problem, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it's both. They need a rebrand, and they also need to dig and like focus and find who they are. They truly are. But what happened with established brand is that over time, uh, they tend to become overcrowded, and I mean visually, graphically, because they had a campaign, they had like some kind of a rebrand, and they changed something. So over time, I don't know, over 10 years, there's a lot of different way of communicate, different graphic way for them to show show up in the world, and there's a lack of discipline, and most of the time working with these big brands, the core of the work is to clean and focus on what really resonate for the brand and what really matter. For example, imagine going to a close friends or your parents or family. Their house is probably crowded with stuff, and you need to
Yeah.
imagine, okay, if I could just keep few of these things that really represent these people, what would I keep?
I love that. That's such a cool way of seeing it. It must be tough though, because like there are like a lot of things that are like meaningful and representative, but yeah, you really need to narrow it down to those things that like you would if the house was burning down, you would want to save those things,
There you go. Exactly. Yeah.
Whoa, that's really cool. I had never thought about it that way. That's cool. And moving on, the post you made about the Jean Couture rebrand. So you described this as assembling and exploding the brand, which I was very drawn to that. And so, what did you have to rethink in your own approach to make that possible? Can you give the audience like a bit of background on that?
Yeah. I think, well, it's the perfect example of the for the answers I just gave you for the two previous
Previously, yeah.
questions, because they never rebranded, and over the years they accumulate different graphic language, and just exactly the example I just gave. So the idea here was to not throw everything in the garbage. We wanted to, celebrate the past, because here in Quebec, it's an icon. That's everyone knows about Jean Coutu. It's part of the culture, I would say.
That's cool.
So, in order to explode the brand, we had to uh, do this exercise to figure out what was at the core, what was the brand since its establishment, but also since we're now in 2025. So we had to consider every touch point, and that's where it's super important, because you need to consider print, digital, social, physical store. They have trucks, vehicles. They have online e-commerce, uniforms, packaging, different business sectors. So, in order to explode the brand in this super complex ecosystem, we really needed to narrow down a core idea, so the simpler it was, the easier it will be to explode it. So, well, basically that's how we managed to do it, and how we try to fix our mind, and how we saw the brand at that time.
And I'm curious, like, what was the things that you would save from a fire from Jean Coutu?
What we kept.
Yeah, like what did you keep?
So for the audience, Jean Coutu is like this pharmacy. I think I would say that, but
Okay.
like a drugstore. But I don't know, in Quebec and Canada, you can buy medication, but you can also buy, I don't know, food sometimes, and it's all mixed up in the same.
Yeah, it's like a CVS version in the United
Yeah,
States, probably Walgreens.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
CVS, and uh, so yeah, it's big retail. Like at the beginning of the project, we gather all the visual from all those years, and we it was just all over the place. But this was we thought that this is part of the brand DNA. They people go to Jean Coutu, and it looks a bit like I don't know, an antique store where there's all kinds of
Okay.
stuff around. It's like nothing is really coherent because the brand just
Interesting.
build itself over the time and never really did this big brand exercise. It was the first time,
Okay.
so we wanted to keep that, this messy DNA, but still add some structure to it. So we kept this, big retail typeface approach. We kept there's this symbol, the shape, the trapeze, which was there since the early beginning. We dig deep into these historic photo and archives of Jean Coutu. So we were able to see which elements were there at the very beginning and were still there today, and we managed to give them not a second life, but to empower
Yeah.
them, embrace them.
Yeah. That's so cool. It must have been such a cool experience for you to get to rebrand this like iconic brand that you like. You're from Quebec,
Yeah.
right? Did you grow up there? That must have been really cool. This iconic brand from where you're from.
Totally. And for the story, it's even more incredible because during my studies, I actually worked at Jean Coutu for 5 years. So
Oh my
yeah,
god, that's so cool. Full circle moment.
exactly. I was studying graphic design during the day and working at Jean Coutu during the night, and always dreamed about, hey, would it be
That's
cool to
amazing.
rebrand that brand? And it happens. It's super great.
Oh my god, like you really brought a unique experience to the project, having worked on there and get to see it every day. That's so cool.
Yeah, I guess I had like some special insight.
Yeah, definitely. You definitely did. Oh my God, that's so cool, Hugo. And like moving on, I feel like there's like a balance in your work between structure and play. So how do you decide when a brand can be more playful and when it needs to stay like more strict?
Oh, good question. um, I think I think every brand should be able to be both. It really
Love that
it
answer.
really depends on the context and the message. I think, for example, just full of playfulness without structure would probably be chaos, and
Yeah.
just structure without any playfulness is fucking boring and
Boring.
generic. So like I think we can see it as a slider, and based on the context, maybe you're far away on the playful side, or you're more into the structure side. Sometimes it's obvious. I mean, think about kid toys versus pharma, for example. The toy brand would be super playful
Yeah.
and the pharma would be super structure, but I think
To have a little bit, yeah.
yeah, they need to be able to like move the needle when they need, um
Yeah,
because like
absolutely.
building a brand, I like to provide brands with tools so they are able to do that. They're able to go from one to another. We can see playfulness and structure for like two layers on top of each other. you have structure at the bottom and playfulness on the top, and you can from 0 to, I don't know, 100, you can play with the playfulness, but there's always structure underneath because you need it. And yeah, it really depends on the context.
Answer. I love that perspective.
Take, for
And
example, Patagonia. They would
uh-huh.
like to, I don't know, maybe post about climate change and oil pipeline and stuff. That
Yeah.
would be probably more structured and serious than if they want to post about, I don't know, first snow of the year and go play outside.
Absolutely. Huh, that's cool. Like, yeah, that's makes so much sense. But I love the way you frame it. And like going back to this topic of iconic and established brands, like when people feel like a brand belongs to them, how do you change it without breaking that connection or trust?
Oh wow, this is so difficult because we can all think about you know brands that rebrand and it didn't go well. So
Yeah.
I think you never know. You never really know because you can slightly change, I don't know, a color and people will flip tables, and you can rebrand a famous logo and somehow it will be okay for some reason. So probably the best way to take this is recognize that there's this trust and connection between people and brand, and try to understand what is it, where it comes from, and then consider people like you maybe you want to include them in the conversation and know why they're so attached to the brand. So eventually, I think you will know what is at the core of the brand, and once you can identify it, you need to cherish it, embrace it, make it bold, make it inevitable. Inevitable. That's a tough word, and and if people are loving this brand and connecting with this brand for the right reason,
Mhm.
they should also connect and love the brand tomorrow if the changes are done accordingly to like the big why they love that brand, and if the changes are done respecting the core DNA of the brand.
Yeah. And can you think of an example of like a popular brand that did a rebrand and it was super successful? Like I'm trying to think myself, but
Um,
I'm not sure.
I think it's a few years ago. I don't know if it's only in Canada, but it's probably global. Yeah, when Burger King rebranded, I was blown away because they managed to um, build the system where everything looks delicious, and it's really they just embrace who they are, with the colors, with the typefaces, with it was at that time I thought, well, that's a rebrand I would have loved to do.
When did this happen? Do you know the year? I don't remember. I think I was too young.
It's maybe 3 years ago.
Oh, I wasn't that young. Let me see. Burger
Uh,
King. Oh, okay. I remember. Yeah. It's so subtle. Like I really didn't even notice a big like change, but I see what you mean.
and again, there's always what we see on the internet as a rebrand and what happened at the Burger King next to your home, for example. And these are such big brands that it takes time. It takes time. I rebrand. I did a rebrand for a bank like 10 years ago, and Like as of
A
today,
bank.
there's still physical buildings that are still displaying the old logo, for example. It's
Oh,
long.
okay. Oh my god, yeah. And I'm curious, like after working on full brand systems, do you see small design decisions differently now?
Yep, yep, totally. Um,
How come?
um, everything, everything is important, and like every touch point matters. So I always try to ask myself if even the smallest decision uh, does this serve the brand and its purpose, and will it be scalable? Uh, could it be used in other contexts? Because it's and this is what you want for a brand. You want consistency. For example, if I decide to add, I don't know, grain or blur over an image or typeface or whatever, this design or visual decision will have impact or on how they could manage to show this on the web, like for the digital part, because grainy stuff and blurry stuff is heavy for the internet. Like it's the rendering of these things on the
Okay.
web is is not the best. So these can seem like small decision, but at the end, maybe it's going to be okay if I want to do some print or whatever. But there's some touch point that will be impacted, and the best thing we can do is to think about it before, because sometimes it can be too late, and if you uh, like all your brand is based on the fact of on this specific aspect of grainy blurry stuff, uh,
Yeah.
then you're fucked.
And now that you lead brand experience, what do you pay attention to today that you didn't notice earlier in your career?
um, I, I think it's strategy, because in in my early career, like strategy department were not as big as they are today. I remember it was back in the days maybe two, three people, but it's so important for branding. It's so important. I realize that we can build brand that are just way better when we can have this strategy POV and strategy. All the work that they do. Um, they help us to find like this brand uniqueness, uh, because they're used to work with insight and like dig deeper to know what makes a brand, you know what is it, or how people see the brand. So
Yeah.
I think I over time, I really need to understand uh, what I'm working on. If I don't know, I'm working on I don't know, a tire brand. I need to know everything about tire during the time I work on that project, for example. So uh, often the strategy will uh, do a lot of this work of making it digestible, can I say, uh, for uh, for all the design theme. So yeah, I think over time I learned really much to sharpen my vision towards brand by having the chance to work with these like all kind of strategic people, and also because sometimes clients don't really know what they need, and because there's a difference with what they need and what they ask for, and to be
Yeah.
able to narrow down that thing, strategy really helps to figure that out.
It's crazy how you mentioned that back then, like earlier in your career, it wasn't really, they didn't really work together, like strategy and brand?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we worked together, and maybe uh, it's on my side because we finish school and we have no idea what strategy is. So they're like these people in the corner of the office, and they in our minds. I mean, like freshly out of school, we think that they. I don't know what we think. We think that
Yeah,
they're into Excel tabs, and we just don't know what they do. And at the end of the day, it's super important.
absolutely. And you've also said that you like contrasts and extremes. So how does that idea show up in your creative process?
Speaking of, back in the days when I was at school, I remember I had this teacher called Alfred Alassa, and he's an amazing teacher, and he's from Poland, so he's um, he have some sayings or like sentences that I don't know how is it's called in English, but they I don't know. Sometimes he would say like these specific sentences that he probably just translated from his
Polish?
yeah. And yeah, this one he said les petits sont grands, les grands sont petits, which means the small are big and the big are small. And this is a design core principle, which means like play with contrast. And he would say this like to probably everyone in the classroom while we were, I don't know, crafting stuff. So I think every designer can agree with this contrast principle that you need to make color pop, you need to play with big typeface. And I think over time, I probably unconsciously, I wanted to push it further because I think nowadays it's probably not the only way, but if you want to move away from generic and predictable approach, you need to find something. And the beauty of the human mind is that it's to find links between things that are not fundamentally
Like alike?
exactly like they don't belong together. And
Yeah.
this is how I see contrast and extremes. For example, I don't know, I need to work on a AI company, and I figure out something with, I don't know, a link with wrestling or gardening culture or something that has nothing to do with it, but I can extract things. Like suddenly you have something that is unique and something, well, for now, that AI would probably not come up with.
Yeah. I Oh my god, I love that. I love that description, especially about trying to make like things that are fundamentally like what was it, the word that you used? Like
They don't belong together.
they don't belong, like linking. I love that. That's so cool. I feel like I'm gonna keep this with me just for like every aspect of my life. I feel like that's a very cool way to, I feel like it's a very cool lens to see life through, you know?
Usually it's where the magic happens.
Yeah. I love that. I want to close with like a more reflective question for you. Like looking at your journey, what is one thing you believed about design early on that you don't believe in anymore?
Um, Probably that design is not a solo discipline. That I could maybe think that at freshly out of school, because we're mostly on our own at school. They assign us project tasks, and we do them. So it's easy to think that we can solve a lot by ourselves. So working in in teams, in agency, for big project in the real world, you you realize that having the right person at the right time around the table is just magic. Because there's always this moment where you're deep into a project and you just need to bounce with someone because you cannot see clearly anymore. And well, yeah, because it's and also because it it is easy to design for you. I mean, just for you, even if you're working for a brand, because working alone, you're 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 getting very deep into what you think and what you think is the right thing to do. But if there's no one to challenge you, probably
Yeah.
the output won't be what it should.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I really want to
And
know around the table who doesn't think like me, because and I want to
yeah,
know why, so I can, I guess, do my job better.
sort of that the contrast comes in play, in that sort of sense too. Like, you think differently than me. Like, that's beautiful. Like, why? Like, let's see if we can like come up with something together with our both our ideas. Like, that's cool. That's a very cool way to see life. Hugo, you are such a cool human being, and I appreciate so much you taking the time to join me today. I feel like you explained everything in such an eloquent and simple way, and very clear. Like, I could understand everything that you were trying to say and to like describe, which always makes for a really fun, interesting conversation. So thank you so much. It has been so fun to get to see how your brain works and your creative side. So thank you for taking the time. It has been really fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun too. Thank you.
Oh my god, that was so fun. Like, I'm
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.